Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in to the virtual Talladega Superspeedway for a late night edition of McCullough Motorsports Money Racing here on the Ghost Racing Network. A late night version of this for you tonight. I'm so excited to be here with you. My name is Dawson Wise. You're watching on the Ghost Racing Network tonight. One of my rare solo appearances here on the Ghost Racing Network, but I do want to thank those guys for kind of let me freelance here tonight for some McCullough Motorsports Money Racing, and it's a heck of a field. It's not a huge field, but it is a talented one. It is loaded from top to bottom, and we will have that starting lineup for you in a few minutes' time when qualifying gets off of the racetrack. 4 minutes to go in that session right now. We're going for 50 laps here tonight at Talladega in the Craftsman Trucks. The bread and butter is back. Hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. Hopefully everybody enjoyed Daytona week over the course of the last several days as we ran multiple races down there in the real World Center of Racing as the NASCAR season got kicked off. To recap those for you very quickly, the ARCA race was won by Gus Dean. That was on, I believe, Friday night after the truck race. The Camping World's Truck Series race was won by, the Craftsman Truck Series race, I guess. Now we're back to Craftsman. Was won by Nick Sanchez. Huge moment for him in the two on Friday night. And obviously the Saturday race gets rained out. The Sunday race gets rained out. We have a Monday doubleheader. It was a wild doubleheader full of all kinds of action, some great racing over the course of the day yesterday. Late night last night, the last race of the weekend, Austin Hill, his third straight win in the season opener at Daytona. Congratulations to that team. Certainly a force to be reckoned with this year in Xfinity Series racing. And the grandest prize of them all, the Harley J. Earl Trophy for the Daytona 500 goes to Hendrick Motorsports driver William Byron, who beat his teammate Alex Bowman to the moment of caution to win the Daytona 500 yesterday evening. So a great weekend of racing has gotten us set to get back to what we know best, and that is the Craftsman Trucks. Here as we get back to the NASCAR season, as we get back to our normal programming, and tonight a special edition of McCullough Motorsports Money Racing for you here on the Ghost Racing Network. As the NASCAR season's off and running, and we're off and running as usual. Glad to have you with me. Just under 2.5 minutes till we get onto the grid. I believe we're going to let the whole time run out. A couple storylines to look forward to in this race. Like I said, a star-studded field here tonight. We got a few more coming in. We're going to push us over the 20 driver mark tonight, which is a great turnout. I'll tell you what, for late on a Tuesday, for it being announced as a last-minute live broadcasted race. So the race was announced all day. But the live broadcast announced about an hour or so ago. This is a great crowd that we've got on hand tonight to race for you. Share the link. Get it out right now. Tell everybody you know that we are live from McCullough Motorsports Money Racing here on Ghost Racing Network. And let's get a big audience out here on a Tuesday night as we get ready to go into the green flag. Minute and a half left to go. Several still running their qualifying laps and looking through the field, notably Justin Mills, our Degapro's Little Guys Series champion from last night. Congratulations to him and to his team, BAR, as they got a huge win, a podium sweep in last night's race. He's in the field tonight, currently sits fifth on the grid. Congratulations to that driver. Several drivers that you saw run last night are in the field tonight, mixed in with some of the heavy hitters that you're used to seeing throughout the week. As we get ready to go green, we'll get you the entire starting grid, but you can see there a little preview, a little hint, a little tidbit, little teaser there for who's in the field there on the left side of your screen as the qualifying laps are coming through on the board as we get ready to put them on to the starting grid. I'm happy to be here, looking in chat. Devin Ray, Devin, good to see it. Trevor Osronoth is here. Trev, I'm going to be honest, just in a candid moment right here. I'm not sure how I feel about that nickname. I'm not going to lie. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how I feel about it at the end of this race. But right now, I don't know, but I respect you for trying it. Cody Nagels, you're going to see him in the field tonight. He's on the pole. Also racing in tomorrow night's CRA Omega Cup Spring Bowl, which I'll get to in just a few moments. Throughout the course of the night, we'll try to get you up to date on what is going to be going on tomorrow night around 10 o'clock for the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl event. Several drivers in the field here tonight that you're going to see tomorrow in that race, Next Gen's at Daytona, and that is a $4,000 to win race. Yeah, that's a massive amount. Yeah, these drivers are going to be going for a massive pool of money tomorrow night, about this time, actually, at the Daytona International Speedway. We'll get you caught up on that a little bit later on the night. It's officially 21 trucks that have made the grid here tonight for 50 laps of McCullough Motorsports Money Racing, and we will go into the starting grid right now as our pole sitter gets onto the track, and that pole sitter is the driver for Dale Cup Games, the number 6 machine, Cody Nagels, on the pole tonight at a time of 55.483 seconds. To his outside, his former teammate, the entry for NBG Motorsports, that is Matthew Baker in the 5. Row 2, it'll be John Mullahan in the 13. I believe the 6 going to be stamped on the side of that truck tonight. To his outside, another NBG entry. That is the 04 of Matt Lee. Row 3, our Little Guy Series champion, Justin Mills for BAR. And to his outside, the fabulous Stamper Hornet, Trevor Osbornoth in the 89, lines up 6th for KSR. It'll be Garrett Maines, the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, lining up 7th. To his outside will be Steve Sizemore in the 4 machine. Rounding out the top 10 on row number 5, it'll be Sean Corbett in the 45, and Mark Vondell from McCullough Motorsports in the 59. Richard Elliott for BAR lines up in 11th on the inside of row number 6 in the 02, and Ron Morris of McCullough Motorsports lines up 12th in the 76. Row 7, in 13th it'll be Dustin Carruthers, the number 10, the bright red KSR Chevrolet Silverado, and to his outside will be the 01 of Joey Galati. Row 8, Misfortune Motorsports driver Logan York. To his outside will be the series owner of PGR Esports, as well as the owner of Team PGR. In the 34 will be Michael Triscaro. Row 9 will be a pair of McCulloughs on the inside. In 17th it'll be Chris McCullough, and to his outside it'll be Kenny McCullough in the 03. Row 10, Danny Barnes for Hyper Motorsports in the 12, Tucker McClendon in the 27 for Misfortune Motorsports, and then rounding out the field tonight, a man who has been everywhere it seems like recently, the owner of Hyper Motorsports, a driver who raced in the Podium 500 a few weeks ago. That is John Ward in the 92. He will round out our field of 21 here tonight. So it's Nagels and Baker on the front row. Matthew Baker a little bit late to the punch here, getting off the starting grid, but I believe he is catching up now as we get ready to go 50 laps of racing here in Talladega tonight, as we get ready to go under the green flag for the first time. And a number of drivers here, the heavy hitters that you're used to, actually drivers that you're used to seeing here on Tuesdays as it is in Ron Morse Racing's Tuesday Night Thunder. Hopefully we're going to be getting back to that here pretty soon. I think a month of March is what I had heard last I had checked. So be watching, be waiting for that. I am excited. If we do get that back here the next couple weeks, that's going to be awesome. Tuesdays were probably my favorite night to jump up here and call, just because of the quality of racing we got throughout the season in Ron Morse Racing. So hopefully we're back to that pretty soon as we get ready to get back in the swing of things, get back busy again after 500 week. Kind of took all of our time. I know several of these drivers preparing for tomorrow night's race, but after that, it's back to our bread and butter. It's a great week coming up. We'll talk about that as we go throughout the night. Have a lap till we go green. A lot of drivers in the field tonight that you are used to, a lot of familiar names. This is a great field, a very talented field from top to bottom, from first to 21st. There is talent all over the racetrack tonight. The big guns are out. The stars are out at Talladega Superspeedway for some McCullough Motorsports Money Racing. And we're about to get it on the racetrack for the first time. Couple things real quick. Mark Vondell, always appreciate seeing you in the chat, brother. Good luck in this race in the 59, starting on the outside of row number 5. And Heath Jobs in the chat as well. Heath, good to see you as we get ready to go into the green flag. Pace car is down. 50 laps here late night on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. We got money racing on tap for you from Talladega Superspeedway. A pair of ex-teammates, it's Nagels and Baker, that bring the field into the restart zone for the first time. Green flag is in the air. We are racing from Talladega. It will be Nagels that leads lap number 1 at the start-finish line. Baker and Lee and Garrett Maines, who's found his way to the outside, now flank him on his outside. It's Mullahan and Justin Mills and Sean Corbett in behind Cody Nagels on the bottom. The only 4 trucks really anywhere close to the front. Richard Elliott trying to make his way up on the bottom with Mark Vondell behind him. It's 2 wide, 4 rows deep. The 2 KSR entries, Carruthers and Osbornoff, have found each other. Baker down across the bottom. He inherits the lead at the end of the Alabama Gang Super Stretch and allows Matt Lee and Garrett Maines here to try to push the top forward. So it'll be a pair of NBG teammates leading both lines now between Lee and Matthew Baker. Off turn number 4 again. Still only about 4 rows too wide back to Mills and Carruthers. Richard Elliott trying to find a way out of that. Now make it 5 rows too wide as Richard Elliott makes his way forward now just a little bit. Some more guys hanging out closer to the back of this field as they await potentially a pit stop. A pit stop will be necessary tonight if this race runs green. Well, let's see if that is the case. As we roll through tonight's race, about a 32-lap fuel run on a full tank, kind of like we saw last night in the Little Guys Series finale. If you happen to catch that race, about a 32-lap fuel run there as well. But we'll see if these guys are going to necessitate a pit stop tonight or if they're going to be able to just not worry about fuel strategy, do a little bit of racing. Baker, Lee, still your front row. Most everybody has migrated here to the top. And 4th car on the bottom is Mark Vondell, and he's about 6 truck lengths here off the back bumper of John Mullahan. That allows the top to really roll through the tri-oval. New leader at the line as lap 4 goes on the board. It's Matt Lee in the 0-4. Another driver you will see tomorrow night in the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl. 3rd line coming. Michael Triscaro, the right. Red, white, and blue, 34 for Team PGR up the outside with the help of, I believe that is Kenny McCullough, the owner here of McCullough Motorsports. He is up the outside, but not really any more help coming for him. They're going to need another truck to jump up there with them if they want to get over to the front. A couple trucks thought about it, now jump back in line. Garrett Maines peeks out, potentially trying to cool the temps, potentially taking a look at 3 wide. Looks like it is the former. As the MBG teammates continue to run 1-2 here on the front row. Everybody else just content to run it, besides Triscaro and Kenny McCullough, who are making a little bit of hay now up in the outside with just 2 trucks. Now they're going to need somebody else to jump out there, and who else but KSR? Dustin Carruthers, Trevor Osbornoff to the outside, and all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, we got 3 wide racing here at the front. It's Osbornoff to the right elbow of Matt Lee for the race lead. Baker sees it coming, jumps to the middle. Osbornoff's got a massive run. He's got his teammate behind him, and Triscaro pushing hard 3rd in line. Osbornoff will poke that nose out front for the first time here off turn number 2. And the bottom fades now in a big way. Cody Nagels, John Mullahan lost their help. Osbornoff goes all the way to the lead, clears down to the middle in front of Baker. That was a quick clear. It stacks up the middle, but everybody's okay. Osbornoff going to say, all right, well, I already went down this far. I'm just going to go all the way to the bottom. Kind of amend here for what I just did. Kind of atone for dropping down a little bit quick there. And he goes all the way to the bottom now across Cody Nagels. So Osbornoff leads the bottom, pushed by Nagels. Baker leads the middle, pushed by Lee. On the top side is Carruthers, Triscaro, Kenny McCullough, and then a pair of BAR teammates, Justin Mills and Richard Elliott. Lap 6 on the board. We're going fast and furious. 45 laps to go here in Talladega. And Osbornoff, he's loving this. The fabulous Stamper Hornet jumps out to the first lead of the night as he goes through 1 and 2. And now onto the Alabama Gang Super Stretch again, still 3 wide. Now the 3rd line starts to get a little bit more of a push yet again. Carruthers will poke the nose out front to the lead for the first time. Michael Triscaro pushing really hard. Carruthers sees the clear down, gets it, and goes all the way to the yellow line to the help of his teammate. KSR flexing muscle here early in Talladega. 45 to go. And the KSR boys go from 3rd and 4th in line to leading the race here on turn number 4. Let's see if Carruthers goes up. No, it would be Osbornoff going up here on the bumper of Matthew Baker. He'll flip-flop here with his teammate. And now the 3rd line starts to fade. Triscaro and McCullough helped those boys get up there, and now, unfortunately, have lost the cavalry here on lap number 7, so they'll have to probably drop back. Now they have Chris McCullough coming up to them, but not a lot they could do now. Kenny McCullough going to need somebody to jump out in front of the 34. No temperatures available here for Kenny McCullough to continue to push. And so we'll go back to 2 wide, 7 rows deep up front. It's Osbornoff, Carruthers, the teammates that lead both lines. Osbornoff gets clear of his teammate again, going to drop down to the fold here of his KSR teammate. Up top, still now Matthew Baker, and that is a huge run to the front. Matt Lee, that was all of a sudden I did not think they'd get that much of a run. They do have some help up on the outside of the racetrack now. That is Ron Morris. It's jumped out in front of Michael Triscaro. Chris McCullough has caught that line, and now the third line begins to roll yet again. Lap 7 is on the board. It'll be 8 when they cross the start-finish line. It's Baker and Lee, the NBG teammates, on the front row yet again. At the line, it'll be Matt Lee that leads that lap. Baker pushed by Osbornoth on the bottom. Lee pushed by Garrett Maines and Justin Mills on the top side of the racetrack. Through 1 and 2, and now out onto the Alabama Gang Super Stretch one more time here on lap number 8. Baker back to the help of his teammate up top. Bottom line will have another opportunity to roll forward. The problem is Cody Nagel's hanging off the back bumper of Dustin Carruthers. Not a whole lot that they can do on the bottom here until they get back connected. So Baker back to the protection of his teammate, but now here come the KSR contingent on the bottom. That is Osbornoth and Carruthers, along with Cody Nagels. They drag Sean Corbett along for the ride with them as Mark Vondell is filed in 5th on the bottom. Everybody's too wide. Third line is faded back in. Michael Triscaro decides to jump back in right as I say that. Kenny and Chris McCullough back to the outside. Problem is the cavalry's not to him. Triscaro is about 5 truck lengths back off the tail end of this lead draft. Both NBG teammates are clear. Lee will drop to the bottom, and that'll allow him to cool off. Garrett Maines has not had a chance to cool off, it seems like, all night already. As we already are on lap number 9, feels like Garrett has been pushing for the entirety of this race. Halfway down the backstretch now, the MDG teammates, they flip-flop positions now. Baker top, Lee on the bottom. Pushers are the same as Kenny McCullough jumps out of line again. Into 3, still all the same up front. 2x2, 4 rows deep, 5 rows deep, and you have the 3 wide behind that. There is a fast repair. I did forget to mention that. I'm not sure how it overlooked it, but yes, there is a fast repair available to these drivers tonight, so a bit of a change from what we're used to on Thursdays, where there has not been a fast repair available. Tonight there is one for these drivers to utilize. Osbornoth Carruthers once again lead the bottom as Lee went up to the 5 of Matthew Baker there on the front straightaway. Outside line starting to make a little bit of hay. Kenny McCullough, Chris McCullough, they've got help coming in the form of Richard Elliott. Does Justin Mills perhaps jump out there? Ron Morris jumps out there again, so now 3 of the McCullough entries up on the outside up against the safer barrier, trying to come forward here halfway down the back. It's Kenny, Chris, and Ron all in line. You see those bright pink banners aboard their race trucks. If you can't tell which ones are them, look for the bright pink name rails on the front windshield of those trucks, and you'll be able to find the McCullough Motorsports entries. So down to the tri-oval once again, Lee Baker. Now bottom and middle, but the top line is here. Kenny McCullough makes it 3 wide for that lead spot right now with Chris and Ron in behind him. They're going to need a little bit more help. Lee sees it coming, now gets back clear of Baker and jumps back up to the outside. So you will block of trouble. Around goes Justin Mills, the little guy's champion. He's around back here with his teammate Sean Corbett. Are they going to get it slowed up and saved? Corbett will not, but it will not bring out the caution flag. It will stay green. Both keep going. Mills keeps going now as well. Chris McCullough's off the pace. I believe he's expired the motor. Chris McCullough has lost an engine here on lap number 11, and all of a sudden, an uneventful first stage now is becoming an eventful second part of this race. Matt Lee goes back to the outside. This field is way split up now. Garrett Maines, for the first time today, is clear. Will he look to the inside or the outside? Look to the outside. Nothing doing there. Now goes to the bottom with John Mullahan. Finally able to cool. Baker gets hung out. Triscaro going to go to the bottom. Baker's going to go backwards. Lee goes up to the help of his teammate here, trying to keep him pulled along. New leader off turn number 2. It's Garrett Maines in the 15. So Maines goes to the race lead here halfway down the backstretch. Mullahan and Triscaro, big beneficiaries of that, as Chris McCullough expired the motor, pushing Kenny up in the outside lineup upstairs against the safer barrier. And unfortunately, the temps ran out for the 19. He blew it up. And unfortunately, I don't even think he made it back to pit road. That was about halfway around the racetrack that he blew up. That's a long way to try to coast, and unfortunately, it might be a night ender for him, or at the very least, to put him several laps down. So up front, we settle back down again. Lap 12 on the board, already a quarter of the way through this event. It's Garrett Maines, Matt Lee, the top 2. Baker now has some familiar help in behind him in the form of Cody Nagels. They all run here nose to tail up on the outside of the racetrack. And back to 2x2 all the way back. So everybody take a breath while we have a chance to take a breath. Go ahead and take one now because you might not get another one here for the remainder of the race. 2x2 again up front. It's the NBG teammates here on the front row as Lee down to the bottom in front of Garrett Maines. And they will run 1-2 here on the front end of the field. So Nagel's the lead pusher up top. Maines the lead pusher on the bottom. Kenny McCullough has found his way back up inside the top 5, drifting right around that 5th, 6th position. And the drivers starting to make their way through the field is Steve Sizemore. And behind Kenny McCullough, 4th on the outside, Logan York as well. Both starting to make their first moves to the front of the field. I see Tucker McClendon in that line as well. He starts to work his way forward as lap 14 is on the board. Now the pay window for the... Oh, trouble! Around goes Trevor Osbornoff halfway back. He's going to get to the outside wall. Ron Morris is involved and a couple of others. And it's the first caution flag of the night. It involves both of the KSR entries. And severe damage here to Dustin Carruthers in the 10. Wheel damage, it looks like, on the KSR Wise or Chevrolet Silverado. And he may need a helpful hand here from the teammate. The engine may have expired on that truck. Caution flag number 1 is out here on lap number 14. So we'll look back there around Trevor Osbornoff. That's where it's going to start here on the exit of turn number 2. You see he's running on the bottom in front of his teammate. And you see Sizemore goes to step out, and as he steps back in line, Logan York is there. Tries to lift, unfortunately can't. Gets into the left rear of Sizemore. He comes down, gets Osbornoff and Carruthers. You'll see Carruthers hit the inside wall. McClendon T-bones Osbornoff. Nowhere he could go right there. And then Ron Morris gets hit from behind by Danny Barnes up in front of the wreck. And Osbornoff slides, McClendon slides. Both have damage to their trucks from that collision. You see Carruthers, he is just, he torpedoed the engine. You see the puff of smoke out the back. That means the engine expired for Dustin Carruthers. We'll try to get a look at that hit. We'll go up above here, and I'll try to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, where Steve Sizemore looks out of line here. You see him right there. Actually, I'll tell you, I think he might have gotten a push here from Logan York. And unfortunately, they're already pushing behind Logan as well as he goes to lift. So Ron gets to the back of Logan. And you're going to see there on the left side of your screen, watch Carruthers. And right here, bang, into the inside wall. Hits that wall a ton. Destroys the front end of his truck and expires the engine. And unfortunately had to be pushed back to his pit stall. Now we got the fast repair going to come in handy for the driver of the 10. But nonetheless, a tough break to have to use it this early in the race. We'll try to find one more angle here of this one before we go back live. There you see the push by Ron Morris that sent Logan York sideways. And you'll see here, pretty good angle right here, looking all the way down the backstretch as Carruthers is going to hammer the inside wall. And you see, well, you're going to see this puff of smoke come out the back of the truck, and as soon as it does, that means the engine expires aboard that machine. And unfortunately, he has to go back and get it repaired on the pit lane. You see it right there. There's that black puff of smoke. That was the engine giving out on the 10 machine. So several trucks involved. Our first caution of the night on lap 16. And with everybody pitting, now they are still outside the fuel window by about 3, 4, 5 laps or so. But again, with the caution laps coming into effect here, everybody will be saving and attempting to make it as far as they can on this tank of fuel. Matt Lee is your leader under our first caution flag of the night, with Garrett Maines second, Cody Nagels third, John Mullahan in fourth, and Steve Sizemore rounding out the top 10. So while we're under our first caution, we'll go ahead and give you an idea of exactly how tomorrow night is going to work, and that is the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl event, and several of these drivers that are in this field have made it. And again, I might overlook some of them, but I'll give you a few of them right now. I know Matt Lee is in that race tomorrow night. I believe Garrett Maines is in that race tomorrow night. Cody Nagels is in that race tomorrow night. There are a couple of others in here, and again, I'm probably overlooking a few of them at this point. Matthew Baker, I know, is in that race as well. So several of the drivers in this field are in that race tomorrow. It is NASCAR Next Gens, the Cup Series cars at Daytona for a 60-lap feature event that is $4,000 to win. You heard me right. It is a $4,000 first place prize, and that is why all the big stars come out to that race that's racing tomorrow night at around 10 o'clock Eastern. 60 laps at Daytona. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get to watch that race. It's always a fun one every single year that they run it at Daytona. And this year, Spring Bowl in Daytona, coming off what was a memorable Podium 500 weekend a couple weeks back with Kyler Wynn getting the job done. I believe Kyler is in that race tomorrow night as well. If he could go back-to-back, what a story it would be for the driver of the 82. If he could win both the Podium 500 event and the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl, that would be a heck of a way to start his year in terms of making a statement in money racing. But several guys in this field are in that race. Again, I probably overlooked several. Anybody that knows more than I do, feel free to throw it in the chat. I'm not exactly sure. I know Austin Green is in that race as well. It's normally here on the Ghost Racing Network. I know he has made the field for tomorrow night. And you see, I'm already overlooking people at this point. I know we have several that are in that field tomorrow night. So go check it out. The ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl tomorrow night in Daytona. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun for these guys to race. After that, in terms of what comes next, Thursday evening, we're back for PGR Esports here on the Ghost Racing Network as the Gen 6 cars, not the 2013 ones, the 2018, 19, 20 cars, 2021 cars, I think it's the latest build they had on them, run at Talladega. That is going to be a blast. The car I have the most experience with in terms of super speedway racing is from 2020 to 2022 when the next gens were released. That's basically all anyone raced were the next gen cars across the league racing scene, across the money racing scene. All we ran was Gen 6, and it is a lot of fun. It's a blast. They are intense, wild, chaotic racing, and you will not want to miss that one in PGR on Thursday night. So make sure to come out and join us on the Ghost Racing Network. We're not done here yet, though. 33 laps to go here in this McCullough Motorsports Racing money racing event here tonight on a Tuesday. Matt Lee, Garrett Maines bring the field back into the restart zone. You see a bunch of single file behind the leaders. That's how many guys decided to come down pit road and make a second pit stop to try to get closer on the fuel run. Into the restart zone again, Matt Lee, Garrett Maines. Green flag is back in the air, and we're back underway, and what a start it is for Garrett Maines up in the outside line there in the one. The MCU body Ford F-150 jumps to the outside of Lee, but now the bottom starts to roll with only two trucks in the form of Matt Lee and Cody Nagels. The problem is their run will die out here as they wait on some help to get to him in the form of Danny Barnes. He's coming in a hurry, but can't get there quite quick enough. Garrett Maines back to the outside. He gets the race lead. Halfway down the back straightaway, he will clear down in front of Matt Lee, will take that gap on the bumper of the 0-4, and now leads the race here into turn number 3. So Garrett Maines leads him into turns 3 and 4. Lap 18 is on the board. It'll be 19 when they cross back across the start-finish line and come back to the flag stand. Garrett Maines, Matt Lee, John Mullahan, Kenny McCullough, Cody Nagels, your top 5. Danny Barnes, Michael Triscaro, Ron Morris, Justin Mills, Mark Vondell waiting in the wings here behind the leaders. Lap 19 on the board, 32 laps to go here in Talladega. It's still Maines, Mullahan on the front row. Several guys have gone to the back. You see Matthew Baker, Trevor Osborne sitting at the back of the field, waiting, biding their time, and trying to get fuel strategy to go their way if the race does enter a green flag stint. So we'll see how it works out for them. As into 3, it's John Mullahan going to the lead for the first time. It's McCullough Motorsports teammate Kenny McCullough in behind him, pushing him forward here, but now all of a sudden the run stalls. One of the best pushers in the game, it's Matt Lee on the bottom that moves that bottom line back forward and halts the advance of the 3-truck top lane. Right now, Mullahan, McCullough, and Triscaro, the only 3 trucks that are up in the outside lane as we've entered a bit of a fuel-saving pattern here at the front of the field. Matt Lee is dropped off to the apron. Do they let him back up? Yes, they do, but it stacks the bottom up and allows John Mullahan right back into this battle here in turns 1 and 2. Mullahan, McCullough, and Triscaro right back in the fight here off turn number 2 and down the long back straightaway again. Almost halfway home. We are 5 laps from halfway in this 50-lap affair tonight. Only one caution. It came out earlier for a wreck between the 2 KSR teammates, Logan York, Tucker McClendon, and others. Everybody still on track, save for Dustin Carruthers, who has taken his truck behind the wall tonight and will finish in the 20th position. Also, John Ward was not able to make the grid tonight, so he will be credited with 21st. John Mullihan to the race lead here in the Tri-Oval. He will lead at lap 20 coming to 21. It'll be 30 laps to go from Talladega. Garrett Maines, Matt Lee, Cody Nagels, Danny Barnes on the bottom. Mullihan, McCullough, and Triscaro on the top side. Ron Morris, Matthew Baker now has made his way back to the field. He's now fourth on the outside. It was only a matter of time before the Coasting Thunder Chevrolet Silverado made his way back through the field and started to pull back to the front. He's now in behind Triscaro, but now at the end of the backstretch, jumps out of line and is going to go to the back. Not the usual strategy we see out of Matthew Baker to run at the back of the field, but he obviously sees something these guys don't. He sees something he does not like at the front of the field, and a pit stop coming here. So no wonder he was going to the back. It's Maines, Lee, Baker, Nagels coming to pit road here on lap 21. An interesting strategy for sure as they undercut the field. These four trucks are on pit road with 29 laps to go, and John Mullihan will inherit the race lead here in turns 1 and 2. Now will the field respond? I imagine they will. Now that those guys have pit, they know how dangerous those four are. If they allow them to run extended laps out on track, knowing they still have a pit stop, I don't know if they'll let them do it. I think they will pit right here just to get everybody back on the same page. We'll have to see. I'm sure the communication is... I'm sure the communication very evident here between the drivers at the front of the field. It's off turn 4, and yes, here they come. Trouble. Justin Mills is around. He's locking it down, trying to make the save, and he's into the inside wall. Mills in the 4, the little guy series champ, is into the inside wall after contact trying to get on pit road. McCullough, Triscaro, York, Mullihan, Osborne, Morris, Vondell, Elliott, and Mills are the trucks on pit road this time by. 3 left out on the racetrack. That is Barnes, McClendon, and Sizemore, along with the lap trucks of Sean Corbett and Joey Galati. Imagine they will pit this time by as lap 23 is on the board. We will await where Garrett Maines, Matt Lee, Cody Nagels, and Matthew Baker end up here on the end of the pit stop. We'll see who they all bypass here. I believe they're going to bypass most of the field. We'll keep it up front for now. They are starting to bypass some of those trucks that just came to pit road. Barnes, McClendon, Sizemore stay on the racetrack. Lap 23 is here and gone. And a quick update for you in terms of the pit stop. Garrett Maines, Matt Lee, Cody Nagels, and Matthew Baker have bypassed the remainder of the field on pit road. They start to put a gap between themselves and those trucks. It's up to 1.2. It's up to 1.3. And they're going to get awfully close here to putting those guys in a gap. I believe 1.3 seconds is as far as they're going to get from that second group. Barnes, McClendon, Sizemore still on the racetrack. They are your top 3. Lap 24 is on the board. So through 3 and 4, again, these 3 trucks, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised seeing them run it out and potentially try to save enough gas to make it, but I just don't think that strategy is going to work for them. So imagine they're just going to run it as long as they can. Hope maybe they get a wreck in that second pack, as they perhaps try to just hope for the best, flip some track position, and maybe get a timely caution here late in the race. But that second group that's now led by Garrett Maines is closing time in a hurry. So even if they were to pit now, I don't even think they would be able to maintain the track position that they have, let alone the end of the draft. So I believe the bet has been made for these 3 here up front, Barnes, McClendon, and Sizemore. We'll see what they decide to do. As we have hit the halfway lap, 25 on the board. It'll be 25 to go when we get back around to the start-finish line and cross once more. And again, another opportunity for these guys to pit as that group continues to close that gap. It's down to 28.5 seconds back to Garrett Maines and company. A problem on pit road for, I believe, not Ron Morris, sorry. That is Chris McCullough that's off the pace. Kenny McCullough has had a problem as well. He's dipped back to pit road. A penalty perhaps on the 0-3. So McCullough has a problem on pit road. This group bleeding time here in a hurry, as it's 28.5 seconds back to that second group now led by Cody Nagels. As Garrett Maines, they did a little bit of a shuffle move up there to try to get a new pusher in line and run some good lap times with 25 laps to go. 3 guys still on the racetrack that are on the lead lap. You're looking at them right here. Danny Barnes, Tucker McClendon, and Steve Sizemore. Oh, trouble. Sean Corbett's around here behind this group. He's still sliding sideways. He's trying to get it all caught. He still hasn't had it caught yet. Now he gets it corralled here off turn number 4. A long slide through the entirety of 3 and 4 for Sean Corbett, but he's able to get the truck back under control. Well, no wonder they weren't swapping back here. They're running 2 wide for 4th on back. They're still gaining time running 2 wide, but they are running side by side here in this second group, which provisionally is for the lead. We assume that those 3 will have to pit before the end of the race, either that or they will be caught, either one. With 24 laps to go, it's Nagels jumping back up to the top in front of Matthew Baker. Maines, Lee, Vondell, York on the bottom. Top side is Nagels, Baker, Mullahan, Oswald, Triscaro, and Morris. 3 wide. Mullahan jumps out, leaves the Baker and Nagels duo there in the middle. Let's see if Garrett Maines jumps up to the middle when he gets in here off turn number 2. Yes, he does. Veteran move by the 1. Mullahan, Oswald, and Triscaro try to get the 3rd line rolling as Logan York finds a way up to the middle. So 4 in the middle, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Make up the 10-truck lead draft that you're looking at right here on your screen. They are 2 wide up here. Kenny and Chris McCullough going to try to go get a lap back here around the leader, Steve Sizemore, who I'm pretty sure, Danny Barnes, who I'm pretty sure is saving fuel here. In fact, let's get an idea of if he is or not. Oh, well, maybe not. Thought we were going to. 183, the speed for Danny Barnes. Yep, that's fuel-saving numbers for the 7, so you know how they're going to try to attack this now, and that's save enough gas to make the end of the race and pull the ultimate upset tonight if they are able to make this fuel strategy work. Look at how much these guys are saving. McClendon, hyper save. Sizemore, hyper save. Wow, so okay, they've decided what they're going to do, and that's try to save enough gas. If you look at lap times, they're running about a 1.5 seconds slower than the lead draft. They continue to run a 1.5 seconds slower at that pace. The lead draft will catch them on about lap 45 with about 6 laps to go if they keep on this pace. They're 24 seconds back now. They're making up a 1.5 seconds a lap. That would be about 16 laps from right now. With 6 laps to go, coming to 5 is when these trucks will be caught if they continue on the pace that they are on. 21 laps to go for the leaders. We'll go back and take a look at this group yet again, led by Garrett Maines and John Mullahan, who have been running side by side since the pit stop. As they are 2x2, 5 rows deep in each lane. Mullahan pushed back out in front. He should be able to clear down here across the bumper of Garrett Maines as they head into turn 1, and he will. Leaves Baker, Nagels, Lee, Triscaro, the top line here of 4 trucks as they race for, again, what is provisionally the race lead. "21 laps to go, halfway down the Alabama Gang Super Stretch is this group. The other group still 23.6 seconds up. I can tell you they have boosted their lap time just a little bit. They're only running about a 0.5 seconds slower than the leaders now. If they run a 0.5 seconds slower than the leaders will not catch them. Oh, excuse me, the leaders, the second group. If they run a 0.5 seconds slower than this group right here for the next 23 laps, they will not, for the next 19 laps, excuse me, they will not be caught. Again, about a 0.5 seconds off. The leaders run a 50.5. Danny Barnes runs a 51 flat. Baker, Lee, Nagels to the outside. Hank John Mullahan in the middle. Matthew Baker in the 5 up to the outside of the racetrack. We'll keep it here for a moment as they are going to try to get something working 3 wide up top. Up to side draft is that second lane with Mullahan and others. Baker's able to get down. Nagels and Lee are not. Good work there by John Mullahan. Maines up to the top, gives York a chance to cool. And now only 2 trucks on the bottom, Logan York and Mark Vondell. Nagels, Lee is still trying to find a spot in line. Lee gets in front of Oswald, who dives to the bottom. Lee will let now his teammate Nagels in front of him, or his ex-teammate, excuse me. As these guys get a little bit scrambled. 22.6 the gap now About 7/10 quicker was that lead group. It was that second group, that time around the racetrack. And again, it's 7/10 a lap. They're not going to make up enough time to even catch that group. If that group is able to save enough gas, they might just make this work. They have to save about 3 to 4 laps of fuel to make it the full distance of the race. Now, they were saving a lot there on the early part of the run. They are still saving a lot. Running in behind Chris McCullough and Kenny McCullough. So an interesting call here by those three to just try something different. Get off cycle. Throw a gamble. Throw the dice. And hope it sticks. 18 laps to go that time by for the leaders. Now they're still about 21 seconds up ahead of our second group. About a 9/10 gap in lap time that time. This group has picked up its pace here by a few tenths over the last 5 laps or so. At 9/10 a lap, they still would not quite catch that lead group. They need to pick up over a second a lap to get up to that lead group. They need to get about 18 and a half more seconds to get into draft range. Actually, more than that. They need to get about right at 19 seconds. To get about a second and a half back is pretty much draft range. They need to pick up more than a second a lap. Still 17 laps to go. They pass by the line again. Let's check the lap times that time by. A 51.61 for Danny Barnes. A 50.41 for Matthew Baker, the fastest car in this second group. 50.41 will do it. That's a 1.2 second gap. Now at that range, they will catch that group. They need to keep it up. They need to keep doing that. And they need to start to pick up the pace because the realism is starting to set in that those guys might just be able to make it. Better lap that time by the leaders. 51.28 for Danny Barnes. And here comes Baker to the tri-oval. We'll check lap times once more. By the start-finish line, Baker, Maines, Mullahan, the rest of this group passed by. 51.28 for Barnes. A 50.32 for Baker. That's not enough. They're not picking up enough time. So an interesting scenario panning out here potentially for the current top 3 of Danny Barnes, Tucker McClendon, and Steve Sizemore. As here they are. They come around to the tri-oval. They're going to run another lap right here, and we'll check the time again. Now, they're not saving as much anymore, I don't think. But could it be because they realize they can go the whole way? 15 laps to go at Talladega. A 52.18 that time for the Barnes crew. It's an awfully slow lap. We'll have to check and see what Garrett Maines and company do this time by. Past the start-finish line, Maines and company. A 50.43 for John Mullahan, the quickest lap of that one. A 1.7 second difference. That would be enough to catch that lead group. We're now only 17 seconds up. They need about 15 and a half from where they are right now. They need just over a second a lap. They're 3 wide, though, and that's not going to help. It's Lee, Triscaro, Nagels up on the outside of the racetrack. This is not really helping them. They're still picking up time, but again, it's just not really helpful as Mike Triscaro is going to go to 4th position here, provisional lead in the tri-oval with the help of Cody Nagels, but the unfortunate part for them is they're just not gaining as much time. 52.8 for Danny Barnes last time. As Triscaro crosses the line, he'll run the quickest lap in that group, and it is a 50.48, for Cody Nagels. So Nagels runs fastest. That's about a 2-second difference. Actually, over a 2-second difference. And now we're starting to get in range of this group may just catch that first group before they can even run out this strategy to the end. 14 laps to go. Still Barnes, McClendon, Sizemore, Triscaro, Nagels, your top 5. As this group continues to run 3 wide, 3 rows deep. Off turn number 4. 51.78, a much better lap that time for the Barnes contingent. Here come Triscaro and Garrett Maines. By the line they go. Their lap time last time by a 50.43. It's actually a 3.7 for Baker and Mullihan, but a 4.3 for the leader. A 1.3 second difference, and now only 13 seconds back is this second group, and they know it now. They're starting to jockey. They can see them up there at the entrance of turn number 3. 13.8 seconds. They still need over a second a lap to get to them, but a little bit less than that to get to draft. It's now inside of a second per lap that they need. Back to 2 wide is going to help them a lot too. They are about 11.5 seconds off draft. They still need just under a second, and actually, if it sticks right at 13, it's going to be basically a second a lap that they need to pick up. I don't know if they're gaining enough time. If this Barnes group, if they have somehow saved the fuel to make the end of this race, I don't think this second group's going to catch them. 2.5 faster that time. They need to keep that up. 11 seconds off a draft with 12 laps to go. And again, I hate to not give them screen time, but again, with what we know about these fuel tanks, we assume for now they do not have enough fuel. We just wonder if they have saved enough gas to be able to make it all the way on fuel. 12 laps to go. They're going to pass by 11. A 1.5 difference between the leader's lap time and Garrett Maines' lap time in position number 4. They'll come back by the start-finish line again. A 51.73 for Danny Barnes. By the line comes Michael Triscaro. And that time by, he runs a 50.52, about 1.2 seconds faster than that group. They're about 9.5 seconds off a draft now. Actually make it 10 even. 10 even right now. And these guys have got to dig. They've got to start to really dig hard. I don't think they're going to make it. It's close call there between Triscaro and Ron Morris, and that's going to check this group up just a little bit. It's slowly becoming realistic that group perhaps has saved enough gas to be able to make the end, and if that's the case, they're going to fleece one here tonight. 51.31 for Danny Barnes. By the line comes Garrett Maines at 50.36. Guys, that's not fast enough. I don't think that's fast enough. They need 9 seconds even. And it's going to be 9 to go. Guys, they're not gaining enough. They're going to get to draft range right as we hit the checkered flag at this point. The Danny Barnes, Tucker McClendon, Steve Sizemore contingent is doing excellent work. They're doing everything they need to do, trying to make that fuel tank run all the way to the end and run dry when they cross the start-finish line. They just now got through the trial, but you see them up ahead. Lap time for Danny Barnes at 51.63. Maines, Baker, they are digging now. They're pushing hard in this group. They know what they have to do. At the line, Garrett Maines and company run a 50.6. That's not enough. Maines up in front of Ron Morris, gets a nice shove. This group's not going fast enough. They need another about 8 seconds, and there's only 9 laps to go. Look at how hard these guys are saving gas. The question will be, do they have enough left in the tank to be able to make the entire race distance? If they do, what a strategy call by these 3 drivers that they're able to pull off a victory in this race. They're saving a ton of fuel. 51.69 for Danny Barnes. 50.53 for Maines and company. And with them only about 7.5 seconds off draft, I don't think it's going to be enough. Let's see what they are with 7 laps to go, and I'll tell you exactly where they'll be after 7 laps. We'll actually go by 6 because they'll need a lap to be able to make a pass if they are able to get draft on the last lap of the race. I'll tell you what they need to gain in 6 laps to be able to get to them. It's going to be just over a second a lap. At the line, it is 8.3. in 6 laps. That's about 1.05 per lap to be in draft range, actually to be to the back bumper on the white flag. Galati off the racetrack, unsure what the problem is there. A little bit of contact perhaps with Steve Sizemore. That is Steve Sizemore in the 5. He's the 5 on the racetrack. He's the 4 on the number sheet. That is Steve Sizemore. And that group is starting to really pick up some time. Over a second quicker, 1.1. That's more than they need. I think they're going to get there. This may not end up working out for this top 3. Unless they've just bided their time and trying to save as much gas as they can. They're going to have to start to hit the switch here and flip to try to run away, because with only 6 laps to go, that group is now doing about 5 laps. They're down to needing about 1.03 seconds per lap. They're still gaining consistently. That time 1.2 seconds faster between Ron Morris and Danny Barnes. Actually, it's Garrett. Yeah, see, it is Ron Morris that ran the fastest there. It is about 1.2 seconds difference. You can see them now at the tail end of your camera view here on the back straightaway. 6 laps to go in Talladega. Morris, Snagles, Maines, and company, all the way back to Mark Bondell, are trying everything they can to dig and catch this group. I think they're going to, and what's going to help them is those 2 bridge trucks. You see Galati, how far back of this lead draft he is. He's going to help those trucks bridge and be able to help them get back along to the field. So it's going to end up helping them. As Galati is a few seconds back of this group. Same with Sizemore, so a bridge truck here. Under 6 seconds is the gap between the lead group and that second group on rushing, with Garrett Maines and Ron Morris on the front row of that group. 5.6 seconds now back to Morris, Maines, Nagels, Baker, Lee, York, Osborne, Vondel, Triscaro, and Mullahan. That is the second group. You got to flip the switch if you're this group up front. You can't keep running 185 and expect to win this race. At the line, 4 laps to go from the Talladega Superspeedway. Here's the problem. The lap times aren't there anymore. This group has flipped the switch. They are starting to go now. 5.3, it's not going to be enough. They really need to dig. Only 8 tenths faster last time by was that second group. It's not going to be enough with the laps that they have left. They need to pick up the time. 4.9 seconds back to Garrett Maines. They are going to be helped by the Galati truck, who will bridge that gap for them, I believe. I don't see Galati anymore. He has gone to pit road. That does not help. 3 laps to go. Do they have enough gas to get all the way back around? Barnes, McClendon, and Steve Sizemore have played this expertly, but they still got to make 2.5 laps to get home on fuel. Down the backstretch, that group's going 3 wide again behind them. All kinds of out of sorts, as they were only about 7 tenths faster again last time by. The time is not there. Is there fuel in the tank for Danny Barnes, Tucker McClendon, and Steve Sizemore to pull an upset fuel strategy victory tonight? There is not. Barnes and Sizemore hit pit road with 3 laps to go. Now Tucker McClendon stays on the speedway. 2 laps to go in Talladega. Now all eyes on the 27. The Tennessee Volunteers machine of Tucker McClendon. Does he have enough gas? And even if he does, that gap going to really disintegrate now between that lead group and that second one. Oh, man, this is going to be as close gets. Inside of 3 seconds, back to Garrett Maines. They're racing hard back there in the second group. Halfway down the backstretch is Tucker McClendon. There's all kinds of fan behind them. 2.8 seconds. McClendon, oh, he may have run out. I think he's sputtering. McClendon's out of gas in 3 and 4. And now we pan our attention to what has become the battle for the win. To the lead goes Garrett Maines. Off turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. They will see the white flag this time around. We'll get it done in regulation. Garrett Maines in the 1 to the lead. White flag one more time around Talladega. 3 wide, gonna be 4. York stuck in the second lane. Baker stuck up in the third lane. 4 wide, third row on back. Triscaro and Nagels bump doors. York and Nagels, do they bump doors? Matthew Baker is through to the bottom. Here comes Morris. Maines goes down to get him trouble. Mullahan's around. A big wreck behind the leaders. Who escapes? Maines, Morris, Baker, and Matt Lee. Does Matt Lee have anything for him? They're still wrecking out back. Elliott, McCullough, do they dive out of the way? They do. When does Ron Morris take a look for the race win? Matthew Baker waiting in the wings. It's Garrett Maines and Ron Morris. They're going to drag race for it. Morris is going to have to look for it here off turn number 4. Where does he go? He goes low, nothing doing. He goes high, nothing doing. Does he take a left? Here in the tri-oval, to the outside Ron Morris goes. Back to the inside. Baker gets to him at the line. Garrett Maines wins at Talladega. Garrett Maines wins it at the Talladega Superspeedway. And a great finish there between him, Matthew Baker, and Ron Morris Jr. Great finish by those guys. The field strategy ends up working out, and they get the job done. And a great finish, but Garrett Maines is in victory lane here on a Tuesday night. We'll let Garrett Maines celebrate here on the front stretch. He is in victory lane. Baker going to do a burnout with him here on the front straightaway at the start-finish line. Garrett Maines is in victory lane here tonight. McCullough Motorsports Money Racing. Well-earned victory for him going into tomorrow night. Where both those drivers, Maines and Baker, will be competing for $4,000 in the Omega Cup Spring Bowl. And with that, we enter our post-race show here on the Ghost Racing Network. We'll begin with our checkered flag replay, as this was the race to the finish. Off turn number 4, Maines and Morris. You see Ron, he just doesn't really have a lot of help. Baker not able to really get back up to the back bumper of Ron Morris. And into the trial, you see Ron, he starts to take a look, and as he goes to take a look high, he's brushed way too far up. Garrett throws a block, no help. And then all of a sudden, Morris took a left turn, tried to get to the inside by then. Not enough real estate left to get back to the front bumper of Maines. And here's your margin of victory at the start-finish line. About a half a truck for Garrett Maines. He wins the race over Ron Morris and Matthew Baker in a photo finish here tonight at Talladega. We'll go through your finishing results real quick before we go get your top 3 or some post-race interviews here in just a moment. We'll go through your finishing results, though, really quickly. Garrett Maines is in victory lane tonight. He wins the McCullough Motorsports Money Racing event tonight. Ron Morris finishes second. Matthew Baker in the third position. It's Matt Lee finishing fourth with Cody Nagels in fifth. It'll be Michael Triscaro finishing sixth tonight with Trevor Osbornoff in seventh. Mark Vondell finishes in eighth position tonight. Steve Sizemore in ninth. Danny Barnes finishes in 10th. Logan York finishes 11th tonight. John Mullahan in 12th. It'll be Tucker McClendon in 13th, Kenny McCullough Jr. in 14th, Richard Elliott 15th, Chris McCullough 16th, Joey Galati 17th, Sean Corbett in 18th tonight, Justin Mills 19th, Dustin Carruthers 20th, and John Ward finishes in the 21st and final position. We're going to go get your top 3 for interviews. Stay right there. You will not miss a thing here at Talladega. We're going to go get your top 3 for some post-race interviews here tonight on a Tuesday night. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway. We'll go into your post-race show now and enter our post-race interviews as we enter into our post-race coverage here from Talladega Superspeedway. The first man up tonight, the man who finished third, the driver for NBG Motorsports, and that is the 5 of Matthew Baker. Baker, toss him in the booth to get a copy.
What's up, man?
Well, a great race tonight, a fun one to watch. I got to ask, you guys in the second pack there at the end, you saw those 3 trucks up front staying out. Did you guys have any idea that they were going to be short? Did you think maybe that they maybe had the right cards played there and that they were going to beat you guys on fuel strategy?
We just knew that their pace was too great. Sorry, be a little closer. I knew their pace was too great to save enough fuel there for the end. I thought maybe one could make it. That was about it. But it's pretty hard to go 34 laps and be hardcore on the throttle the whole time, because I know Kenneth and all of them were hardcore on the throttle being laps down, so because they weren't really worried. They were just trying to stay away from the pack as much as possible, and it played detriment to those guys for sure.
Well, nonetheless, you finished third here tonight. It was a great race to watch, a great one to race. I'm sure only one caution tonight. Just kind of take me through what it felt like out on the racetrack, as there was a lot of great racing throughout the night.
Well, I'll be honest, there's a lot of good saves, but didn't cause any other cautions between Garrett, myself, a couple other trucks. I mean, Mollahan was offset on the left on me and half the race, so just happy that we were able to stay up there and keep the truck under ourselves after a couple close calls. Garrett too, just 4 wide. Looks like Mollahan maybe drifted up just a tad as Logan was blinking out, so unfortunate for sure. But it was a really fun race to run. It was a real hot track, so the tires are slick. I think my right rears, before I started the burnouts, were around 75-73%, so that's really, really cooking the tires for a 50-lap run at Talladega. I really couldn't believe how much the tire fall-off happened, but it was a ton of fun. I also locked them up coming into the pits because I had to catch those boys. Went top of 3 and then sent it in, so that may have helped with the brake, with the tire wear, but it's still a lot of fun coming to the line there.
Well, third place finish for you tonight. Certainly going to do the job for you, I'm sure. So while I got you here for a second, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just thanks to Coasting Thunder, MBG Motorsports, Baker Sun Construction. Thanks to Garrett for working with us there, Cody and Matt there in the Discord, and then thanks to everyone up front for really running a great race. So shout out to Ron. I mean, that was one of the best races I've seen Ron Morris run in a very, very long time. So very, very impressed with him. Mad props to him for sure. He looked like he had been doing this for years, because he has been doing this for years. He just hasn't had the track position to prove it. And he cards fell his way, stayed with us in the pit stops, and was able to put himself in position to almost steal the win from Garrett there. So that was a lot of fun. And then thanks to the family watching back home, you for putting on a broadcast on short notice, and Ken for putting this thing on. Excited for tomorrow in ERA. I know you'll be watching. Cody and myself and Garrett and all of us try and go for $4,000, so this is a good momentum swing that way for sure.
Well, congratulations on a third place finish tonight. Best of luck tomorrow night in the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl. We will all be watching for sure. Go enjoy this one, go celebrate, and we will see what you can do tomorrow.
Thanks, bud.
Matthew Baker in the 5, the third place finisher here tonight from Talladega. Moose the man, one step short, but certainly a great run for him tonight, a strong run, and that is Ron Morris in the 76. And we'll grab him up here now. Ron Morris, it's Dawson in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, man, how you doing? Yeah, got you.
Well, I'm doing really well. I can't imagine I'm doing as well as you. We saw you run really strong tonight, a really great run for you. Several of those McCullough Motorsports trucks looked very sporty at the front of the field. Take me through your night and how you got to a second place finish.
Oh, man, it was fun. The track was slick. Trucks were all over the place, and we had a lot of pushes that just got people sideways, but a lot of saves. So it's real fun up there running at the front, man. It's been a while. Trying to be a little more aggressive. I needed that tonight after last night, getting freight train on the last turn to go from first to fourth. But it was a lot of fun. It was just a fun race, man. A lot of my fingers are numb, my foot was numb, but it was a blast. It was so much fun.
Well, absolutely. And coming to the checkered flag there, we saw you lined up with Garrett. You take a couple looks. Is there anything you could have done differently there in the trial to potentially come up one spot better and win the race?
I don't know, man. I think I made the move as early as I could have. I mean, it all paid the same, but I still want to beat Garrett Maines, you know. But it was a close race, though. At least I got up beside him, and you know, without nobody to push me, I don't think I was gonna get by him. But still, man, it's a blast running up there with those guys. They're a whole lot more fun when you place in the money than when you finish in the back. So, you know, it's good times.
Well, absolutely. It was very fun to watch. And you finished second tonight. A great payout here for you tonight in this one. So before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Oh, man, appreciate you guys for broadcasting last moment, man. I love watching these broadcasts. So, you know, everybody out there like and follow these guys. And Kenny and them for putting this race on tonight. You know, Tuesday night's usually my slot. We'll be coming back soon. I got spring break coming up. After spring break, I'm gonna start working up something for the next season. So, just Ron Morris Racing, Ron's Race Paints, McCulloch Motorsports. You know, that's it. You guys, man, appreciate it. Ghost Racing Network.
Well, we appreciate it for sure. Congratulations tonight on the second place finish. A great run for you. Fantastic run. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate, and we will see you soon.
Yeah, have a good one. Appreciate it.
Ron Morris in the 76. And that brings us to our final post-race interview tonight. The man in victory lane, the man of the hour, the number 1 MCU body, Ford F-150 of Garrett Maines. We'll bring him up here. Your winner tonight from Talladega, Garrett Maines. It's Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure.
All right, well, a victory for you here tonight. Kind of take us through the end cycle of that race. We saw a few stay out on fuel, some nerve-wracking moments for you guys in the second pack, but you guys didn't show it, stayed calm. Those guys came to pit road. You come out on top. Take me through it.
Well, you know, this is actually a surprise. I didn't know this was a broadcast, but that race was phenomenal. I don't know how it looked from up above, but out front there, I mean, we were brawling. We didn't know that you know, they weren't going to be able to make it because we saw the lap cars in the lead pack. So we were like, well, shoot, we might be racing for the top 2 spots here. So I think that kind of amped up the intensity a little bit, and it made it for a really good race. Battling there with Ron, not somebody that I have a lot of, you know, experience fighting for 20 plus laps there. That was a blast. He did phenomenal tonight. As always, you know, racing with Baker and Cody and Lee. I mean, that was insane there at the front. And there at the end, I thought Logan's move that took it 4 wide was going to be a really good one for him. And then I realized that he had 3 teammates lined up on the top. So I knew who I had to block. But, man, that was a good time. I did not expect it to play out like that. And I'm very glad I showed up for this one.
Yeah, it was a fun one to watch. I'm sure it was a fun one to race as well. And Baker put it this way: it's a good momentum shift for some of you guys running tomorrow night. Just, you know, take me through what kind of warm up was this for tomorrow night, running for $4,000 in ERA.
Well, you know, this is the I don't know, the chill out night. Honestly, tomorrow night it's gonna be back to the Cup package and completely different momentum shifts. You know, when you get the runs, they are significantly larger, and it's going to be a lot of track position tomorrow, I think. I'm really curious to see, you know, who all shows up. I don't really know the lineup for tomorrow. I don't know who made it, so it's going to be interesting to see like how many guys are super speedway guys that are going to be in that race. And, you know, hopefully this year we don't throw it away. I felt like last year we were really in control of it until a mistake by our team kind of threw the lead away, and it was extremely hard to get it back. But we'll see what we can do this year. I'm excited to get back out there, and I do think we got a good shot. There's a lot of guys from this group, this league, that, you know, spent the last couple years getting really good at super speedway. So we know that there are lots of threats out there for the 4K this year.
Absolutely there are, and it's going to be fantastic to watch an exciting race coming up tomorrow night. But you're in victory lane tonight. You get the job done. A bit of a last-minute broadcast, but hey, you know, no worries there. So while I had got you up here for a second, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a huge shout-out to MCU Body, Lennox, the guys over at Ryco, and FGR Excel. Huge shout-out to Ken, Brad, Jacob, and everybody that's been putting the time in on the Coke cars. Super excited to get out there at Vegas. I'm really proud of the car that they put out at Daytona last week. I don't know if any of you guys have had an opportunity to drive the Daytona car, but that thing was an absolute rocket ship. I really wish we had had all of that for Coke because it was so much better on Wednesday. But definitely excited to see what we got on Tuesday next week for Vegas.
Well, we look forward to seeing that as well. Congratulations on the victory here tonight. Wish you the best of luck tomorrow night in the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl. We'll all be watching. Congratulations. Go enjoy the win tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Dawson.
So there's Garrett Maines, the final driver in our post-race interviews tonight. And that'll just about do it. A bit of a last-minute broadcast tonight, but it ended up being a great one. You heard Baker and Garrett talking about it. That was great racing at the front for a lot of that race. Fuel strategy coming into play. An exciting finish there as Garrett, Ron, and Baker battle it out all the way to the line. And a great last-minute edition here of Money Racing from McCullough Motorsports. ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl tomorrow night. Garrett Maines, Matthew Baker, Cody Nagels, Matt Lee, and others are going to be involved in that race tomorrow night, running for $4,000, one of the richest payouts of the iRacing year. Will be given out tomorrow night from Daytona the Next Gens. Thursday night, PGR Esports presents the Gen 6 cars at Talladega. That's going to be a lot of fun as well. I can't wait for that one. I should be around in the booth with Baker and Austin for that one right back here on the Ghost Racing Network. Other than that, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed Daytona week. I hope you've enjoyed 500 week. Enjoy as the NASCAR season gets back underway. An exciting week of racing ahead for us. An exciting weekend ahead for NASCAR as they head to Atlanta this weekend. Enjoy all of the racing we get to watch that we are so privileged to get to watch over the course of the next week. And until then, I'm glad everybody came out tonight. Thanks so much for watching, sticking around, watching some late night money racing with me here on the Ghost Racing Network. Until next time, my name is Dawson Wise. You've been watching the Ghost Racing Network, and everybody have